So the concept of contextualized learning essentially refers to the fact that as you are teaching people about something, rather than having a very narrow focus on whatever that something is, you are helping them understand broadly how that set of ideas or that set of skills or that particular training experience in allied health or in environmental science or even in broader social sciences fits into a set of things that are actually happening in the real world. And what we understand now, I think we've probably always known it, but we haven't quite acted on it, is that when learning is relevant to people, when they can think about how it actually lives and breathes and has meaning in the real world for them and for the people they care about and for the things that they care about, they can retain the information better, and they are more inspired and motivated to learn. Especially more inspired and motivated to learn the things that are more difficult for them. Because especially for students who have struggled in traditional settings, but also for other students who are more successful in school, we always run up against things that are difficult for us to understand or skill sets that are difficult for us to master. And rather than shutting down, which is often the case especially for people who have not been successful in school, if you can help people understand why what they're learning is relevant, how it has meaning in a broader context, how it's connected to the things they care about, to the employment that they might want to pursue, they are more willing to open up and be experimental and take a risk and extend themselves beyond where they might be willing to. Also, contextualized learning at its best makes learning more fun and more engaging. So rather than teaching somebody English or math through Johnny Meets Mary and they go walking down the street, or let's do an assignment on what we ate for lunch today and how we're going to add up the widgets with the widgets, you're actually taking the reading exercises, the research exercises, the communication exercises, the math exercises, and you're embedding all of them simultaneously, or sometimes more discreetly, as in the case of math skills, into some kind of context. So you might say, for example, let's think about how to use math to understand how much rainwater we can catch in a rainwater catchment system. What we want to teach you about are jobs associated with water retention, water conservation. But in order to do that, we have to learn about the annual levels of rainfall, the size of the home, the space and width and the depth of the gutters, how much annual rainfall might fall, and taking all of these things together, we can make sense of them. Another example in the food, health, and agricultural sphere of a math exercise that is contextualized is helping people think about how much water does it take to create this hamburger. It has meat in it, it has tomatoes in it, it has lettuce in it, it has cheese, and it has a bun. So we're going to figure out all the water that we needed to raise the cow. That's water that was in the field for the grain. That's water that was used to wash the cow after they pooped in the stall or in the field. That's water that the cow drank that day, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're going to go to the tomato. And then we're going to go to the lettuce and the bun, of course, which is made out of grain. And then we're going to ask the student to think about those discrete parts and how they all add up. And each time that they're doing a piece of this in a context of the food we eat on a regular basis, which has meaning for us and context for us, they're getting more sophisticated in their math skills. So contextualized learning is critical to student success because it inspires students, it motivates students, it helps them understand the relevance of what they're learning, and it allows them to take risks because they feel more comfortable because they understand the context if they don't yet understand the skill.
How does contextualized learning relate to the Doing What Matters for Jobs and the Economy project that is statewide for all community colleges in California?
Right. Contextualized learning relates very directly to the Do What Matters program. I've spent a lot of time interviewing employers, and employers say that they want applicants and employees who understand the mission of their firm, which essentially means they understand why the work they're doing is important, how it has meaning, where it fits within the larger context of other firms and other activities, how it relates to a set of additional activities outside of itself. If students only have what we call the hard skills, which are the skills that have to do with the actual application of the knowledge, the technical skills, but they don't know why what they're doing has meaning in a broader context, employers are much more reticent to hire them. And where the rubber hits the road on this is looking at who employers hire. Employers tend to hire people who are educated, even if they don't have the technical skills, rather than hiring people who are less educated but who have the technical skills. And that's where the rubber hits the road. Because if employers were interested in the technical skills, they'd be hiring in the other way. What do they want? They want employees who can talk about the work, who can talk about it with clients, who can talk about it with coworkers, who have internalized it themselves so that they're passionate about getting up every day and doing it. And I would say that the other way in which this relates to doing what matters is that although we didn't talk about it today, we're talking about preparing people with very different levels of skills and education and capacities all at the same time. We're all educating a very diverse group of people. And for people who are coming into the labor market at the lower end of the occupational ladder, for whom jobs are first steps into the labor market, we have to address the fact that those jobs are not typically well paid, that those jobs are not typically sexy and exciting, that you don't have a lot of autonomy, they may be tedious and repetitive. And for people to understand why they're doing what they're doing, and to connect it to a broader set of issues and to an occupational ladder and a career pathway, which is all contextualized learning, is critical for their success. So why work matters is not just about meeting the needs of employers. It's also about meeting the needs of employees. And then we've been talking a lot about the new space of social entrepreneurship. And in that context, why work matters in a contextualized context is that if we want people to understand the broad range of opportunities that are available to them in a particular arena, they have to be educated about that arena. They don't know what the needs are broadly. They don't know all the possibilities for their social, entrepreneurial, innovative juices. If you don't give people a broad sense of the context, they'll choose the same spaces over and over again, and they will saturate. For example, in the environmental arena, everyone will choose to go into solar installation. That's not going to work. There are a myriad of opportunities in the energy sector, and people have to broadly understand those so that they can figure out where their individual niche will be in relationship to. So it's critical for employers because they want employees who understand the bigger picture and who are passionate about the work, not just have the technical skills. And it's critical for employees and potentially social entrepreneurs, small or large, because they have to have a sense of the needs and the arena within which they're working. And also for people who are getting jobs with existing firms, again, students, eventually employees. They need to be very nimble. This is a very difficult economy. And one is hired into one job and may not last in that job for a variety of reasons. One has to nimbly be able to take what one learns and transfer it into another place. And if you don't have a sense of the place, then you have no sense of how you can be nimble. And one of the things that we take for granted with privilege is having a broader, deeper sense of the world, having a bigger world. Contextualized learning opens up people's worlds. Technical training does not. Technical training could actually be argued as making you narrow, because it trains you for a very particular technical set of capacities.